Hello everybody, this is Dr. Novak again. If you remember, a few months ago I did a video on this button fern here, and I just wanted to show you the progress of how it's growing. It really seems to like these bright lights here that I made along with the devil's ivy, but you can tell it's grown because if you look at this basket real close, you'll see that the fern is growing out at the bottom of the basket here. You see that? And it really has filled in. Now this was, if I remember, I told you this was like 3 plants in a small 2.5 by 2.5 inch pot. Bought it at Lowe's. You can buy them at Lowe's, Home Depot, garden centers, button ferns. But look at it. Look how nice it has turned just within a few months. Now, if you go Google this plant, button fern, the thing you'll find out, it will say doesn't like a lot of water, or doesn't want to be, you know, a lot of ferns, believe it or not, can take a lot of water. And this is one of them that can. And look at this. You can see like these root systems come out. I guess that's what this is. Here's another one back here. I don't know if you can see it very good. Right there's another one. This is all new growth. All this growth is new. The growth that's coming out of the bottom of the pot here, though, that's all new, because there's no way I could have put this in the pot and put the ferns going through the mesh. See, look at that. These ferns are going right through the mesh. So even though this is not talked about in mainstream for on aquarium sites and all, it's a very, very nice plant for somebody who wants something a little different. And you got to remember, ferns have been around and people have used them during Victorian times. So that'd be the 1800s, late 1800s. And they were a very common plant in Victorian homes because they could take the chill and the heat, versus other plants couldn't take the chilly because the homes are so cold. But if you look at the fern, it's just a wonderful plant to put in your aquarium if you want something to be put on top. And there's no poisons or anything that you have to worry about. Like I said, I just cleaned them all up real good and stuck about 3 of them in there from the pots in an open cell basket that I had. And you can either wire it, make it the way I said with suction cups, or you can use, you know, like this one, because this is a stainless steel basket. I use stainless steel wire I bought off the internet, 14 gauge stainless steel wire, and hooked it up to the back of the aquarium, and it could be taken off. But it seems to be doing quite well. Now, on the devil's ivy here, look at the root system. Look at that root system. This is right underneath the bubbler that's from the plenum. And you can see, look at that root system popping out of that. Really nice. It's not really growing at the speed of light, but here's something I did want to show you. Now, if you see the plant here, and you look at the plant here, you notice how this is a lot lighter color, and this is darker color, further away from the light here. That the light is kind of blanching out. Look at this leaf, how it looks white. See that? And then if you look at this leaf, let me take, and see it's still green. So you can tell that when these are exposed to a lot of light, they kind of get blanched out, lighter color. And then for those that don't get as much light, you can tell that they are darker green. Look at the two, they almost look like 2 different plants, but they're not. Just one is closer to the ultra bright light bulb, and that's the same way with over on this one. The leaves that are exposed, and look at the leaf that gets more shade, how green it is. See? And then look at the leaves that are exposed to the ultraviolet, how they've, look at that, the backs of they're almost white. Just something to know that what happens to the plant if you expose it to more light. But the button fern, I did want to do a short video just to let you know how it's growing. If you look at my old video and you look at the button fern now, sorry about the lighting, but if you look at the button fern now and you looked at it in the video, you'll see how much it's grown in the goldfish aquarium. It's a decent plant. It's something that nobody else is probably going to tell you you could use in an aquarium as a nice fern like this. And it's not going to get overly big. But cosmetically, it will help your aquarium look nice if it's in a room that so you don't have to keep watering. And that's the big thing about ferns. That's why people say if you overwater them, they drown. It seems like when they're in soil and you overwater them, sometimes you can get root rot. But let me tell you the secret. The secret is they're not getting enough oxygen by the roots. Now, when you have an aquarium, and as we can see how the plant is growing, like at the bottom here, see it's actually growing out of the basket. It's because the roots are getting oxygen from the water and they're not drowning. Where if a lot of people who get these, they will, and this happens to a lot of plants, they will literally drown because their roots cannot get enough oxygen. But ferns are kind of accustomed to having their roots in water, but you have to remember to put them in something where they make sure the roots can get oxygen from the water. That's all I'm saying. That's the little trick to ferns, is a lot of pots maybe will have a hole in the bottom and that's it, or a lot of pots won't have any holes at all. And they purposely do that, is to make sure the plant will die and drown on you and rot away. If you pull the plant out of that pot, like I have done, and look, and this is in water 24/7. Look at all these new ferns popping out of the bottom of the mesh here. There's no way I could get this fern out of this basket unless I ripped it apart. But anyhow, it's getting enough oxygen through the water, because the water, of course, does have oxygen in it, and it will do just fine. That's the little trick to ferns. Make sure their root system doesn't drown by, well, maybe I'm using the wrong word. It's not actually drowning. They actually go bad on you because of the oxygen content of the soil becomes lessened to the point where the roots cannot take in any of the nutrients, and that's why people say they wind up drowning or rotting away. Well, look at this plant. It's not rotting away, it's not drowning, because they do need, the root system does need oxygen, low levels, but it's constantly has to be exposed to that low level of oxygen. But if you have a pot that water just sits in it, oxygen can't get to it and freely get to it, the plant rots away and drowns. That's a little secret that they don't tell you about ferns. Ferns, you can get real big, just keep them open and the root system open and exposed to oxygen. But because in the forest and stuff, like if you go to Seattle, you'll see the ferns are growing big. It constantly rains there. You constantly start thinking to yourself, wow, look at these ferns, how big they are, like peacock fern or something like that. Well, the soil is open. But if you went on and you stamped on the soil around the fern to compact it so oxygen couldn't get to the fern through the soil, it would die. It'd wind up doing just like our houseplants do. So anyhow, I thought I'd just make this little quick video. Oh, there's one more thing. I have a question. I want to show you a picture. I have a question I need to ask you shrimp experts. I have a shrimp I want to show you, and maybe you can help me identify it. Okay, This is the shrimp. It's been getting bigger and bigger since I've been watching it. I do have Amano shrimp in my tank. They've been there about a year and a half or longer. There's some of my older shrimp in the tank, and they, when they have molted, you can see big skeletons. But this guy has been growing quite a lot. Now, just by the looks of it, it to me almost looks like an Amano shrimp, a baby Amano shrimp. But since my forte is not in shrimps, I wanted to know if anyone who's watching this is a shrimp expert. Does this look like an Amano shrimp? Because it seems to be getting bigger than the cherry shrimp that I have. Cherry shrimp, they're only going to get so big, but this guy is outdoing the size of my cherry shrimp. And that's why I'm showing you pictures. It almost to me looks like an Amano shrimp. If it is, and everybody does concur with me, if it could be Amano shrimp, that means it was bred and raised in fresh water and not salt water, which means I have a lot more of these because I have seen them in my aquarium. Shrimp that look like this. They have zero red on them, but they look like, almost to a T, like the Amano shrimp. So I wanted to ask you because from all my understanding and all the research I've done on Amano shrimp, they need to have salt water and then come back to fresh water as they get bigger. The fry have to, the small ones. And as you notice, I've shown you pictures of little bitty specks of Amano shrimp in the aquarium. So, and I know because I know one of my Amano shrimp is a female because she's always loaded full of eggs. She's big. She's always loaded full of a ton of eggs. As she's gotten bigger and bigger, she has more and more eggs connected to her. But I could be way off base here. But like I said, I do have cherry shrimp. Is this a mutation of a cherry shrimp? Or is it a mono shrimp that has acclimated and actually bred and reproducing in my 90-gallon aquarium in freshwater conditions using a plenum and an anoxic filter? So that's a question I'm asking. If you can help me, please leave a comment below. Like I said, I am not a shrimp professional expert, but I know a lot of people breed shrimp and they know shrimp like the back of their hand. So maybe you could help me out. Anyhow, this is Dr. Novak. Please subscribe to my channel. And until next time, happy fish keeping.